up, everybody? It's Frank Miller's favorite samurai's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Ronin figure. This is the masterpiece scaled, one-off as far as I know. Offering, shout out to Daniel M. He sent this to me. Spent way more money on shipping than he should have. I am appreciative, but I do feel bad, so I want to make sure that I give him some love. I do appreciate it. That being said, we are going to take a look at this guy and get through this transformation that people have told me I should ready my patience for. But before we get to any of that, we're going to get to accessories. And of course, we'll start with his two trusty swords. The blades are painted with a metallic silver, a darker color than maybe I would have gone with personally, but you know, it's not my toy, I guess. And then the handles are not painted, which is kind of a bit off-putting, honestly, only because so much of this figure is beautifully painted. But yeah, I mean, it's sculpted nice enough. Now, he will hold them with a peg that goes into the palm of his hand. But it doesn't really allow room for the thumb, so it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like, I feel like you have to have the kind of the thumb wrapped around the opposite side, which, I mean, isn't the biggest deal in the world, but it seems like something is a little off there. I mean, even you can see how far up the thumb joint is. Just not the best. They'll also store right in these side hip pieces, like the way that these things fold up here, which is a clever way to handle it and very effective. So kudos for that. He comes with his kind of signature sword, the long sword, so to speak, and we have some metallic blue. Or no, it's not even metallic blue, is it? Maybe a little bit metallic blue with a translucent piece over top, or is it just washed? Because it almost looks glossy, but it's not it doesn't look like a glossy paint. Either way, it looks good. Silver blade, decent sculpt work. The tip of this blade is bent. You know, individual results will vary, of course. But if you can see that, I mean, that's a little bit of a bummer. Not the biggest deal in the world, but something worth mentioning. And then the handle is the same, just the flat plastic. And he holds that in his hand the same way, and it, as far as I can tell, suffers the same problems. And then he comes with this white adapter piece, which is just the straight plastic. I think it does actually have a coat of paint on one side of it, which is nice. Nothing really to write home about. It pegs into the top of his shoulders here. And once that is in place, the long sword can be stored on his back. He also comes with his cape. It's like an olive green. It's not the best stitching in the world. And it has the metal rod kind of through so that you can pose it. It appears to me that you'd have to take the head off to make this work, so to speak, and I'm just not doing that. I'm not causing any stress on this figure to just show this for one picture. Theoretically, it would look okay. It is 2-ply, as it were, so it's got a little bit of kind of gravity to it, which is nice. The metal framing throughout is nice. The actual kind of seamstress work leaves a little bit to be desired. And let's take a look at the figure. We'll get in tight on the head sculpt for Dennis. So, the head. Look, first of all, everything is painted here. Now, just to point that out a bit further, the eyes are a glossy blue, silver metallic face, gold on the crest, you might say silver and gold, as well as the white helmet. The sculpt is good. I do think the bottom lip is a little overly pronounced, but it's not distracting, especially when you have him looking down. Or kind of like with his head postured down, because he could be looking up, you know. The head is on a ball peg. You get a little bit up, a good bit down, a swivel, nothing really on the confused drift look. Shoulders, once again, everything you see is painted. We do have some translucent pieces on top, and then you have these red bits that are painted, and this does angle up and down at your discretion, but nothing really else to say. The shoulder joint sits a little far back for my taste. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but that's where it is. It's back there. And then there is an additional shoulder joint here, but I haven't looked to see if maybe you can swing this out just to cheat it. You can swing that out to cheat it and then get the arm, I mean, up a fair bit. You know, you do have to cheat it, but I think we should count it. And then we have the swivel around. Once again, you reach a certain point, it starts to look weird because the shoulder placement joint is so far back. Bicep swivel. double jointed elbow that gets you the full run, kind of kibble permitting. And then we have more paint down here, gray, red, white. We have the wrist, which swivel and hinge and out. And we have a thumb on a ball peg with an additional hinge. The fingers are on a base pen knuckle. The index finger is individually articulated and has a secondary joint. These 3 fingers here also have a secondary joint. So, ka-chow, you know what I mean? You can do all that, which is fine. Then we have the articulation's the same on the other side. For the midsection here, we have some interesting stuff going on. We have some die cast, which does give the figure a little bit of weight. We have all the finished colors that you see here painted with the blue translucents on top. There is a swivel. There is not like an ab crunch or anything like that I can tell anyway. I say that and then I'll find one, but not that I can tell. This section here flips out and this section here pulls back, and as you manipulate the figure, it has a tendency to come apart, but it is easily fixable, like to back it right back down. Just back out, brush them, and look at the end of the figure, or the whole figure, as it were. So you have these bits here, these side skirts, they hinge and rotate here. To get out of the way, you have hip skirts here. Every color you see is painted. Then we have the hips, which are tensioned universals. Get you out to probably the full Van Damme if you push these things to their limit. Little squeaky there. And the full Monty. We have a thigh swivel built around it. We have a double jointed knee that gets you the full range. Not the prettiest knee in the world, but the range is nice. I'll take it. All right, moving down to the lower legs, lots of stuff going on, all decoed beautifully. Nothing kind of problematic in terms of aesthetics or lack of paint. All looks the part. And then we have ankles. The ankles are a bit limited. You get, I don't even know if you can give them credit for an ankle tilt up or down, but you do get a slight rocker. Not a great rocker, but a slight rocker. And I think that's the end of it. It almost feels like there should be a toe tilt at least, but I'm not able to get it moving. You do have this piece here that can cover down on your joint depending on where you have it, but there's not much articulation there, so it's not really, you know, I mean, I'm sure it's not there for the articulation, but if it were, it wouldn't be worth it, if that makes sense. And that's this guy in a nutshell. There he is from the back. I mean, clean figure, no doubt about it. Size comparison wise, there he is with the MMC offering, the Chug offering, which is, you know, a great figure as well. It's not about comparing them necessarily as showing you how he kind of scaled up, you know, both in size and, you know, some sophistication with the way they did stuff. Like the legs are obviously a bit more complicated. I have a feeling the torso is far more complicated, and even the shoulders are scaled down a bit, you know, to kind of make it more of a, you know, more of an intricate piece, which I guess theoretically it should be. But nonetheless, there they are next to each other. And of course, there he is next to a masterpiece car. So, I mean, this is a significantly bigger robot. And to be fair, it might be too big. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'd have to look at, like, you know, any of the other kind of masterpiece offerings of the IDW stuff to figure out where exactly you would fit this guy in. But just looking at it, they may have overshot here a bit. But I can't be 100% sure about that. Don't hold my feet to the fire. I don't have anything else to really compare it to. All right, let's get it transformed. So we're going to spin out that piece that we talked about to get the extra shoulder articulation. And we're going to lift this piece up because we need to get access to this rear section of the shoulder. So we're going to expand that. And it is already giving me some issues. There. Once this is out in the open, then you can take this piece here, and we basically have to get this flipped all the way around. So just manipulate this the best you can. It's a tight little joint. Oh boy. Really kind of obnoxious. I need this piece here to spin, and I can't get real good access. Unbelievable, dude. Let me try to see if I can get it off camera. So I finally ended up getting it, and I mean, I did rub some of the plastic there a bit, but it's just like, I don't know how else you would do it. Then spin this out, and this comes down, and I think like that. And then we gotta tuck the arm in. So spin at the bicep, and then wrap this back around. You wanna fold the hand in, and then fold this whole arm assembly up. Until you can spin this back, fold that elbow piece down. Until you can spin this back around. Oh, dude, this does suck. I'm literally the first step into it. And then that's supposed to collapse, but I can't get it. So I'll mess with it off camera. And I finally got it. It's a pain, man. I'll try to do it again here. So once again, we're gonna flip this up. We're gonna flip this down. We're gonna spin that. We're gonna separate this shoulder. But we have to disconnect this one joint that does not like to be disconnected. God, dude. There. Sheesh. All right. With this up, you have to rotate this gray piece out. The problem is this flap moves as well, so it's hard to keep sort of one stable. I did it much better that time. While you manipulate the other. Once you get there, then you can rotate this up. And this can come down to the back. Just get this out of the way for now. And then you got to get the arm tucked away. So we're going to rotate at the bicep. And then the hand is going to wrap all the way around the shoulder. So you just have to be mindful of it, really. It's got to wrap, it's got to hold on to the shoulder. The good news is as you do it, you can always get a little bit of an angle here because you want it to be as flat as possible there against the shoulder. And then rotate the whole thing up, cover down on the elbow pad, and then that should come around and plug back in, and then you can get these wheels and make sure that they'll fit inside of that housing there. But that's what you're looking for. Oh my. Now we're going to expand the torso. So we're going to fold these up so that they're facing this way. You need to... Oh, here, let me tuck this in there. You need to rotate these two pieces out and turn his head around. And then disconnect this midsection. This midsection has a tendency to want to come apart anyway, in my opinion, so that shouldn't be too challenging, but there is everything that we'll be working at. Looks like the fun is going to continue, doesn't it? Then we have to slide this gray piece up. And there's another piece. There's a sliding piece right here on this silver section that needs to come down so that this all extends. Right. And then we need to get these windows here in the right place. They're on ball pegs. So just manipulate them until they fill in the void. There we go. Then we're going to clean this up. So these two sections flatten out in the back. And then this all slides together. And then these pieces rotate to the back. And then I think this shifts up. I'm not sure. This whole gray section that the head is connected to slides in. Oh. And it's hard to get like the leverage to do it, but it slides in. Take my word for it. Then where the head is, the chest piece will actually slide down. And it's kind of tricky to tell when you have it slid all the way. But then you want to take that whole assembly and spin it around. And then take these sections here rotate them down, and they actually look like they slide back and forth, but I'm afraid to put too much torque on it. And then, oh, dude. So then the ears have to like fit in between it all. Let me see if I can get this over. There's one. Not easy. This sucks. All right, I got both. So then you want to tuck them down like this. And then you want the horns to kind of fit up in there. I don't know what the best way to do this. I'm kind of grabbing this one with tension on this side, and then I'm using a tool to angle it on that side. And I think that's what you want. Then you can bring these, these pieces here on top. Let me back out just a little bit. These need to come forward, and then these need to rotate forward. And then, see, I don't have this slid down far enough. And it's because I can't figure out. But basically, you need to have that whole section far enough where that tab here grabs onto there. And then you collapse the whole thing. But I can't seem to get it. It's this chest section needs to slide forward more. There's one. So I'm going to try to repeat this on the other side, but you want that tab in and then sort of line everything up. And there it is. Tabbed in mostly. As good as we're going to get here. And then in the back it should look something like this. And I'm not going to press my luck any further. I've got it somewhat stable. I'm going to clean some of this up and then we'll continue. Alright, the pelvis. Untab it. Fold this gray part out. There's two outermost flaps. Fold them in. You can then flip it on the other side. Get these out of your way. This whole thing will swivel around. These side pieces here will fold in. This gray piece will come down. and sort of collapse inside of the rear pelvis. And then it all sits as nicely as you can against this windshield here. And then with the hip skirts out of the way, rotate at the lower joint 180. We're gonna pop this section open here. We're going to flip this piece. That's something that I could easily forget, so we're gonna go ahead and get that done ASAP. And then we're going to spin this section out, and we're going to take this whole piece here, slides there, and we're going to take it from back here and slide it down. Take this, open this up, collapse this, rotate 180, bring it down, and then your kind of armor here to protect the foot, the ankle, rotate that out, spin it in, and then rotate it back down. Or slide it back down, I guess I should say. All right, now we're gonna do the steps before we collapse it. So we're going to disconnect the and take this section, wrap it around its opposite side, and tab it back in. And then we have to rotate the whole ankle 180 and flip the foot up. Take your thigh, swing it out, and then collapse it back down. And I think that's it. And now we're just taking this piece up and over and pegging it back in. And then you can rotate the thigh out to the side, and then this tab here at the back of the heel needs to insert into the shin. All right, so let's go ahead and do that again. Open sesame. Take this piece out, wrap this piece in. We're going to flip this. Oh, no. We got stuff to do here. We're going to flip this whole section. There we go. 180. And we're going to slide the bar down here. And on the opposite side, we're going to take this piece, open it up, collapse it, spin back around, rotate in, spin 180. That sits up in that little cavity there. And then we have the kind of ankle protector. Slide up, rotate around, slide down, and then we have our, we're going to break that connection. We're going to take, what is it, this piece here, disconnect it, wrap it around, plug it back into the opposite side, rotate the entire foot 180, tuck the toe in, heel toe. Then we're going to take the thigh, we're going to slide it out, and down. Seems like a very minor thing, but that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to take this, we're going to take it back around and plug in. rotate the thigh out to the side, take our heel, we're utilizing that tab and that slot, and plug that in. Now we're gonna work on the hood. So get these two white sections extended and rotated towards the top of the vehicle. Spin your legs up towards the back or the front or the top of the figure, the back of the vehicle. And then on this side, we want to extend these and get them to make up, you know, the front of the vehicle mode the best we can. I'm pretty close there, but this is like a sliding tab, like it's like a key, a lock. So I'm gonna work on that and getting that cleaned up, and we'll pick it up from there. Now underneath, you have a tab here and a tab here that has corresponding female slots on both sides of the thighs. And then there's this one tab and one of the that you can flip out. I've already taken the liberty of flipping it out because it's actually kind of a bear to flip it out as well. And then there is this sort of lock or key for this lock here. And utilizing all of that, you're supposed to kind of tab it together. So we're going to try a little bit, but I'm not going to waste too much time on it. We can always pick back up. There's that. And I don't really care if I don't get all this. You know, that might come to you as somewhat of a surprise. Probably not. You know, but I don't have the thighs in. So, you know, this thing sucks, dude. But I'm going to get it fixed and we'll get back to it. And it's not quite perfect, but it's as close as we're going to get today. So, then you have this section here, which folds out and then spins around, rotates up and plugs in to the side there. And same for this side. I will clean it up to the best of my ability with no promises, because we're starting a new year. I'm starting a new scoreboard for brakes, and I am trying. Oh, before you get the best of me, sweetheart. I'll clean it up. We'll take a look at it. And there it is. And like I said, it's not perfect. Obviously, you know, all sorts of stuff that could get a lot tighter. My thighs aren't plugged in. That's part of the big problem here. I'm sure that if you have all the time and patience, you can get yours a lot better. Even still, mine does still pretty much roll. This wheel's a little tight in the back. The deco, once again, does come through beautifully. The sculpt is fine. It's just not worth the cost of admission to get here. You know, and like you go to mess with it, it just like gets worse. Yeah, man. Like, you know, how much, I've talked about this recently on other platforms, but like, how much at some point is like fun a factor? You know, and I don't need it to be fun to a point where like it's simple and stupid, you know, but like, there's a difference between intricate and, you know, and fun, you know, versus intricate and frustrating, right? And there should be some balance at least attempted to be struck between the two. And I'm not sure that this does it in any way, shape, or form, but there it is next to Tiger Tracks, who's always up for some fun. Starting off a new year. Final thoughts-wise, let's start with the negatives. The peg into the hand with the sword is an issue. It's just not the most well thought out and should have been sorted out, at least to me. My next biggest issue is the shoulder joint sitting so far back on the kind of clavicle area, the collarbone, that you can hit ranges of articulation where it starts to destroy the sort of suspension of disbelief. Not the biggest deal in the world, just something worth pointing out. In the same breath, some of the connectivity of the chest components have a tendency to come disassociated disassembled while manipulation. Once again, not the biggest deal in the world, can be easily sorted out, but worth mentioning. And lastly, I would have liked a bit more articulation in the ankles. At least lastly in regard to robot stuff. You know, and I think it will come to no surprise to anyone that the biggest gripe that I have with this figure is the transformation. It is just a bloody nightmare. We are starting off the year with a very poor transformation. And I hope, wish in a prayer that it is not a sign of things to come. Because if they were all like this, it would not be worth it. Just not a good experience whatsoever. And honestly, it really detracts from the experience that I had in the robot mode, which was honestly a pretty positive one. But all of those moments come together to kind of form your overall opinion about something, you know what I mean? And there's definitely not a lot about the transformation of this piece that's going to lend to most people having a good day. I'm sure there are a fair amount of sadists out there that will love it, but I'm not them and they're not me. Positives wise, I mean, the first thing that we have to address is how good the sculpt is. It nails it. Home run, sends the ball all the way home. And the same goes for the paint. Home run, sends it all the way home. They really outdid themselves both with sculpt and paint, and the materials are right there behind it. I would have probably liked a few more ratchets and stuff like that, and maybe less squeaks in some of the joints, and I probably should have mentioned that in my criticisms, but that aside, the materials themselves that actually make up the figure feel great. The accessories are appropriate, and they integrate well. The weapons are appropriate and you can get by with them and they store well. And I mean, you know, to be fair, it's a very intricate transformation and it didn't break yet. I do have a little bit of paint scratch here and there, but it didn't break and there is a lot going on. I also got to give a shout out to Paik. I definitely used his video as a reference for a lot of it. There's only digital instructions. Look, I'm just not that guy. I'll fight with some paper ones for a bit, but Paik's video definitely came in handy. If you're looking to transform it, I recommend you use his and not mine. And I mean, I think the alt mode looks good. I think it'll look even better if you can get it right. But in spite of how good it may look, it's not worth it. The transformation is not worth it to get to it. It doesn't look that good, and that does have some meaning. To be fair, it does look good. As far as recommendations, I can only recommend it if you have no interest in transforming it. Otherwise, strong pass from me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.